Good evening, Dolphin fans and Dolphin haters. Welcome to the revamped Fins Talk Overtime. I'm your host, Finn Stanza, a stupid Canadian, and with me is the founder of Stupid, one of my key mentors, Greg Maney, and sometimes Brett Lagasse. We just never know when. So as you can see by our intro,
Yeah,
we never know when Brett might show up, but he might show up. How are you? How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing pretty good. And as some people who are familiar with the show, I am not in my office. I am not in my home office. I am in the Midway Airport in Chicago, getting
He
ready to
ran
get
away
a
from
flight home.
he ran away from the
Huh?
state of Florida where football is very much in flux, where it doesn't
Yes.
matter if you're the University of Florida, Florida State, Miami Dolphins, everyone is pooping the bed. So right now, Finch Talk Overtime is all going to be about the reality because a lot of the shows on the network have been up and down, homers. We're not doing that anymore on this show. On this show, whether you watch it now, whether you watch it later, it will always be in the record books that we just want to tell you like it is. It doesn't matter what you think about the show. You can put your comments in, disagree with us. We'll respect that. But all we care about is that we get our feelings out there on how we feel the Miami Dolphins are doing this season. And I believe the thing that stuck in my head the last couple of weeks, especially in the last post-game show, Greg, is the fact that you've described this team as stupid. They do stupid things. It
They
doesn't
do.
matter what it was. Even in the games where they were winning when they won three in a row, there was always those moments where I said, "That's stupid." Like
Yes.
and it's just unbelievable. So we're going to talk about why we think the Dolphins of this season, and especially in Green Bay, who's playing tonight against Detroit, which is a team that's not very stupid, why we think the Dolphins are stupid. So don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone's opinions. Don't forget we're brought to you by Caneswear. Whether the Miami Hurricanes are doing well or not, Miami Caneswear is a place to go in Davie, Florida, whether online or whether you're in South Florida, to get all your
Uh-oh.
Inter Miami, Florida Panthers, Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes,
So,
anything
Evan,
you
can you
want
hear me?
here for the state of Florida. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
All
We
right,
can
there we
hear
go.
you.
All
We
right.
can hear you. We can hear you. Don't worry. Guys, we'll have technical difficulties, but that's okay because you know what? The Miami Dolphins have had extreme technical difficulties all season. So it works. It works.
Yes, it
So Greg,
works.
so Greg, we're going to talk about why they're stupid in a lot of ways, but let me ask you, as you look back on the last week and a half and that have you changed your mind at all on the fact that they're stupid? Considering what Tua's had to say, McDaniel, the team, 5-7, that the fact that they can still do it, the fact that on Sunday the Miami Dolphins are watching football games. Who's going to lose? New England. New England's going to beat Indy. No, that didn't happen. The Chargers are going to lose. That didn't happen. Monday night, a slinger between Cleveland and what do you call
And
it? And
Denver,
Broncos. Oh, Jameis
Denver.
Winston's coming to the rescue. Wait, Jameis Winston once threw 30 interceptions. He's going to throw a couple of pick sixes. Miami Dolphins watching, no! And I go, that's so Miami Dolphins. So when you watched last week, when you got to watch football games a little bit, if you did, and you see the results, how are you feeling about these Miami Dolphins right now? Like the team, where they are at this exact moment, that they think they can still do something about this.
Well, I mean, as an athlete, you still have to think about, we can still do this. We can still get there. We can, that's what keeps you going. All right. The reality of it is that you got 5 games to play. All right, and you got to make up 3 games in the win column, right? That means that you have 3 teams in front of you that basically got to lose 3 of the next 5 games.
Yeah.
All right, and you got to sweep. You got to win all 5. All right. It's just a daunting task, and especially since the way that this team is playing, all right, constantly making mistake after mistake after mistake, and not correcting any of the mistakes as the year goes on. Okay, if you want to start the season doing dumb stuff, all right, and making mistakes, all right, and one of my pet peeves, as a coach was pre-snap penalties. Okay, pre-snap penalties, we used to call them concentration penalties. All right, there were 3 types of penalties. All right, pre-snap, concentration, okay, in play, which we would call either preparation or technique. Okay, if you commit a holding penalty, it's because your technique was bad, right? But those are correctable. And then you had stupid. Okay, you had your late hits, your unsportsmanlike conducts. Somebody decides to go and punch a player. Dumb stuff, right? That you basically have to correct. But the pre-snap stuff, you have to basically nip in the bud right away. There's no reason for you to not have a concentration penalty. Okay? And what we see a lot with Miami is they start the game with pre-snap penalties, delay of games, all right, procedure calls, illegal motions, all right. That just means you're not prepared. You're not concentrating, all right. And the dumb never goes away. And 12 games in now, all right. They played 12 games, and they're still committing those types of penalties. It just doesn't make sense, okay. And then every other week, okay, there's a dumb special teams play. All right, special teams on this team is just been atrocious all year. They constantly are making mistakes, and it's not getting any better. The good teams in the NFL get better as the year goes on. They're playing their best football in December.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in December now. When's the last time you could say Miami was playing their best football in December?
Season's over in December.
Correct. All right. And even last year, coming into December, they had a 3-game lead and things like that, and basically screwed it all up. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why, even with the soft schedule that they currently have, they have 5 very winnable games, in my opinion. All right.
But it won't matter.
It
won't matter.
Yeah. I can't see them going 5-0. I don't think they'll go 4-1.
Yeah. But you know what I could see? I could see them doing this. Shockingly. Them getting what they did, where they win 3, a team might start to fall off. The teams might start to fall off, and that Tennessee 56-26 game, 50, like the game in Tennessee that Bobby went to, could happen. Like they could build your hopes up. But what the reason why I want to talk about how stupid they are from all elements of the team is the fact that what exactly are they fighting for? I take the Homer hat off. This team has been irrelevant for 35 years. The team has struggled to build a proper foundation going back to even when Shula was there. And I don't know if you know this stat. Do you know Jay Fiedler has the same record after the same number of games as Shula started? So, and that hasn't gotten us any good to do this. So when I look back, I'm thinking, what have I been doing the last 10 days? And what I'm watching is how stupid they are as a team. And it starts obviously from the top. It didn't matter if you were Wayne Huizinga with the whole Nick Saban nonsense. Then Ross taking over the team. And the team between Phil Sperano and Philbin and Gase and Flores, and then messing up then firing both Greer and Flores at the same time if you didn't want both. And then the McDaniel offensive line nonsense, and the fact that they want to go out pure greatest show on turf, and then they gave that up. Or the fact that they didn't build a foundation on both sides of the ball. They kept really bad coordinators every year. Like we've had a different offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator every year since the rebuild. We're now in who said this? Was it you? Year 6 of the rebuild. We're in year 6. So people want us to win 5 in a row so we can go into Kansas City, Pittsburgh, or Buffalo and get our butts whipped and lose our draft capital. Honestly, for me, all I care about is that the team goes now in a different direction. And I'll give you a good example. Tomorrow, there's a premiere episode on this network, which I will be on with Will Patrone of 305 Sports, about the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers started winning, but then they realized the finesse aspect of their team didn't work. And they made a very critical and became a more physical hockey team. And they won the Stanley Cup. They made the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, and they won the second year because they changed their mentality. So it doesn't matter who they face, when they face them. It doesn't matter. This season is all about collecting stock and to figure out what they need to do next. The problem is that the people who are in place right now aren't the people who need to be there. So if we want to start, let's start with the Chris Grier. Chris Grier has a job. We don't know how he has this job. I'm convinced. I said this on the show once that I believe he has the job because Stephen Ross doesn't like firing people, but I think until the lawsuit with Brian Flores is done, does he really want to fire another minority? Like, is that really in his head? And so, but Chris Grier, very essentially, whether Tua's played well or not, that offensive line, those two guards are an absolute disaster of guards. Jackson, you've noticed Kendall Lamb is has been one of the worst blockers in the run since Austin Jackson went down. Brewer's doing his job. Armstead's doing the best he can, but he can't practice because he's always injured, so he's trying to save himself. So in the end, it's our two guard play. What did we talk about at the beginning of the season? What was going to be our biggest problem? Liam Eichenberg and Robert Jones, and it's Ridder's ugly head. The running backs are not the problem. That will be more on the coaching. The quarterback, we know where the problem is, the fact that they don't have a backup. Wide receivers, they knowingly had a third wide receiver who was not going to start the season. On the tight end, they finally found the tight end, but they didn't utilize him. They were utilizing the two bottom guys halfway through the season. On the defensive side of the ball, they went to sign 7 players at minimum contracts to play nose tackle and D tackle, but hardly any of them worked. Linebacker, they never corrected the problem where they need to. They went to get Brooks, but they traded him for Baker. It's almost like trading 4 quarters for $1. They let Van Ginkel go. They were relying on a rookie, and they had to go beg Ogba to come back. At safety, they hired an old George Poyer and old Marcus May when we were all begging for Justin Simmons. On the other side, they took an injured Kendall Fuller and relied on Carrico, who was not good on the outside, and had Jalen Ramsey alone. Holland was not playing well even in last season. And they kept Danny Crossman, which we're going to talk about. And special teams, Jake Bailey has been and then the special teams, they got Saron Neal, but they still can't cover. Last year was always a problem where they gave big yardage. So Chris Grier has consistently done really bad things. And why is it, do you truly think? Tell me your honest opinion. Why are the Dolphins so stupid why is Chris Grier so there? Like, why are they so stupid that Chris Grier still has its position with this organization?
I can't really answer that question because
if you had to take a guess, why do you think it is?
Because Chris Grier is a master deflector. He deflects all the blame away from himself onto the head coach that's working under him. His job, and he says to Stephen Ross that it's my job to get the players the head coach wants. And if the players the head coach wants doesn't work out, if they don't work out, it's not my fault. He's the one that wanted them. But I don't understand how any GM on any team survives this. This is what, his third coach that he's been the GM for?
A little bit, yeah.
Second.
Flores was really first, but he was in the mix for Gase.
Right. And I've said this before. I've said this before on our shows. I've said it before on other shows, where if the plan is flawed, no matter how well you execute it, you can't be successful. And in my mind, for the last 6 years, Chris Grier's plan has been flawed, right? I mean, it leads to making poor decisions, all right? We complained about the safeties that they picked up this year. All right, preseason, we complained about it. All right. Did you see who made a game-saving interception for San Diego?
Marcus May.
After said that, right? A week after they cut him, right?
Noah Igbinoghene has started 7 games for the Commanders this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it's. Again, they keep making the mistakes in roster building and things like that. And after 6 years, to me, we don't see them moving forward. We don't see them improving enough to make it to justify continuing with this regime and continuing with this build. All right, you might be able to keep a couple players here and there. Every rebuild does, but you got to completely rethink how you want to do the game of football now, because what they're doing is not working. Competing for a sixth or seventh seed is not a recipe for success.
No, it's not.
All right,
No, it's not.
and one of the things that I'm going to sort of defend Mike McDaniel here, all right, in a way, and I know this might get under your skin a little bit, but one of the things is, if he's picking the players or Chris Greer's picking the players, whoever's picking the players, all right, you've got to build your game plan around the strengths of the players that you have on your team. Okay, you can't game plan around the team you wish you had. Okay, if you think that throwing an out, all right, is a good play against a defense, but your quarterback can't throw an out, you can't call that play.
Nope.
All right, because you're not going to succeed either way. All right, I mean, so you have to game plan and design your game plan around your players' limitations. And the Dolphins have a lot of players with a lot of limitations that limit what you can do.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is because they don't draft well. Okay, they actually have made some pretty decent trades, and they've made some of the free agent signings have worked out. Not all of them do. Every team has hits and misses when it comes to this, but for the most part, this team has missed. All right, they've missed in their player evaluation, and again, you're supposed to get better as the year goes on. You're supposed to understand your team as the year goes on. Your game plans get sharper, they get crisper. You make fewer mistakes. And it's just the opposite with Miami. And a part of that is because of lack of depth and injuries and things like that. All right. But again, the bigger picture is when your roster's flawed, your game plan's going to be flawed. Your season's going to be flawed. And continuing to roll this back and saying that, yeah, we're going to give it another year after 6 years where you haven't won a division, you haven't won a playoff game, you're probably not going to have a winning season this year, okay, when it's all said and done. No. So you can't hang your hat on that anymore. Well, 4 of the last 5 years have been winning seasons. Well, okay, yeah, but you still haven't won anything.
Exactly.
And, and it just, in my mind right now, there is not a justification to say, we're going to do the same thing next year. Something's got to change.
Yes.
Something in the front office, something in the coaching staff, and I agree with Brett. If you're going to do one, you got to do the other.
Oh no, I've been saying that forever.
And I think that's what has.
I think all three. I think it may need to be all three, but we never know.
Well,
you may not be able to do all three.
Oh, okay. You're thinking two. I was thinking Stephen Ross. I was
honestly,
you can't really fire Ross.
If Mike McDaniel loves, I'm about to get to him. Stephen, I would do Tua, McDaniel.
Yeah. I could see that.
Because the next person who we're going to talk about who's stupid, we'll do Ross at the end, is McDaniel. And the reason why I think he's stupid, we know where we're going to start. Let's take the offense of the side of the ball. It took him 2 seasons. It took him his third year to figure out how to use a tight end. It took him a couple of years to figure out he wanted Tyreek Hill, and he wanted Devon Achane. He wanted all that, but it took him. He stopped using. First year he only gave it to Tyreek. Last year he spread the ball out a little bit, but didn't use his tight end or his running game when it mattered. And this year he didn't find a proper backup. Thought that Skylar Thompson could do the job, which is a fireable offense from a quarterback guru, because all it told me is that you didn't develop Tua. You just gave him a little bit of confidence. And you have I don't know what Frank Smith does. Danny Crossman still has a job. You don't utilize the right running backs in the right possessions. Like his defining moment for me, as bad as Mike McDaniel's been for me in 2.5 seasons since the Chargers game in 2022. The number one thing that pisses me off is you have the ball on the 1 yard line and first down. You load up the box with Patrick Paul. You take your hardest, running back who you started that game. His name is Jeff Wilson Jr., and you pound the rock 4 times. No, we're going to use our smallest running back. Our smallest running back. Let's put him up the middle. Let's put him up the middle. No overloaded box. Let's put him up the middle with our 2 guards in the middle, right there. Pathetic. Then you start throwing the ball. Then you get sacked. So Mike McDaniel, his game day management, the timeouts, the play calling, getting the plays in on time, the Julian Hill on the field, Durham Smythe on the field, giving every opportunity to every player to get away with everything. Putting Malik Washington in the corner as a rookie, not teaching him what we're going there. You put a veteran there in the windy games. You put Mosher, put somebody, I don't care who. Mike McDaniel is going to have, for me, after 3.5, almost 2.5 seasons, he is a worse coach than Brian Flores. So our team is actually, he has 10 times more talent than Brian Flores has ever had on offense and even on defense. And he's worse. So why is Mike McDaniel so stupid?
Well, okay, again, first of all, I'm going to defend him in one way, okay? He didn't use the tight ends the last 2 years because the tight ends aren't any good, okay? Hill and, Smythe and those guys, they're just not good football players. Yes, they're just not good football players, all right? So you don't game plan plays to get them the ball. Now, what he didn't do is basically Jonnu Smith was an afterthought for the first 6 weeks this season.
Yeah.
And not getting him the ball early is an incredible mistake by him.
Yeah.
The offense should have been better early in the season with Jonnu Smith, okay? And getting him the ball here later this season has drastically improved this offense.
Yes.
So he should have been able to do that. Now, the parts to me that I just don't understand after 3 years is he still has issues getting the play in. All right. Part of being a dumb team, part of being stupid is our pre-snap penalties. It's lack of concentration and delay a game. Okay, even if you don't get the delay a game penalty, you still use a timeout. Timeouts are valuable.
Fourth and 4.
Yeah.
He took a delay game penalty.
All right. He said they're valuable. Using your timeouts early to stop a delay a game penalty because you can't get the play in cost you points at the end of half, at the end of the game. Okay, it's just a natural progression. Okay, I've been in Chicago the last 4 days. Okay, I've been listening to Chicago sports radio. All right, and naturally they're ripping on the Eberflus, okay, for what he did.
Bowles should be fired too. Bowles should be fired too.
All right, but it's clock management. It's game management. They had the same issues here in Chicago that Miami is having.
Yeah.
All right, Mike McDaniel, his 3rd year as a head coach, hasn't got better in clock and game management. That's inexcusable. Okay, that is really inexcusable to me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to argue game plan in my mind. You don't know what the practices are, what they're practicing. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what they've tried and what they haven't. You just see the results on game day. So I think his game plan is flawed when he's not concentrating on getting the ball to his best players. And
he is Devon Achane. Devon Achane, his best player.
Using Achane on the goal line situation, all right, it's not a good game plan.
No, of course not.
Okay, you can't rely on that guy to get that yard. That's just not who he is. Yeah. All right, and you have Mostert, who I think is just a guy.
21 touchdowns last year.
But
21.
But he was your short yardage guy last year, and he made it work. Okay. You got to give him a shot.
Of course.
Okay.
Jalen Wright, like anybody.
Jalen Wright, somebody. All right, that's going to bring, I've said it on different shows. You got to be BYOB sometimes as a running back. Be your own blocker.
Yeah.
Somebody meets you in the hole, you got to run them over.
Yeah.
You got to fall forward. Okay, and in goal line situations, all right. Guess what? The defense has the advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, in the good goal line running backs basically make their own hole. They
Yep.
figure out a way to get it into the end zone.
Yep.
Miami doesn't have that guy, I think Miami has a better guy, all right, than Achane. I'll say it that way.
Of course.
And basically, first and goal at the 1, you run it once with Achane, and then just say, well, I can't do it no more. I got to start, I got to start trying to trick them again.
Well,
all right, it's just a bad thought process.
For sure.
But the other thing that ticks me off about McDaniel is there is a definite, you can see it after 3 years, there's a definite lack of preparation in big games. All right. They continually get behind against good teams.
They're front runners, Greg. They're front runners. They're front runners.
Well, you can say that, yeah, they're front runners. You can say whatever, but they're constantly down in the first quarter in big games.
Yeah.
Because they're not prepared. They do dumb stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
Against Green Bay.
They're stupid.
Yes, they're stupid. The opening kickoff was stupid. All right? Your first play, the first time you set foot on the field was stupid.
Stupid.
All right? Then you muff a punch.
Your goal line play is stupid.
Right? Goal line play is stupid. You just your first year with McDaniel, you forgave it because he was a first-time head coach.
I didn't.
All right? Your second year, you're like, okay, he needs to start getting better. And frankly, I thought he did get a little better last year. This year, he's not.
He's worse.
And it's just, what do you do moving forward now? All right?
Fire
in my mind, so if you're not going to fire him, you got to take away play calling duties.
He'll never give it up. They've already asked him the question. He won't give it up.
All right. So, what are you going to do? Now, if you're going to keep Mike McDaniel, you've got to completely change your roster. All right. And if you look at the current roster, the way it's situated, all right. I'll take a step back. The best way to change the roster is through the draft.
Yeah.
But Miami drafts so poorly that it's not going to happen. If you look at every position group on the field, the starting position group, cornerback, who's the best cornerback? It's not a drafted player. Who's the best safety? Drafted player. Okay. Who's the best linebacker? Nobody drafted. Okay.
Best D lineman, nobody drafted. Best wide receiver, no one drafted. Tight end,
correct.
Not drafted. Offensive lineman, not drafted.
Best 2 offensive linemen, not drafted.
3 offensive, 2.
Yeah, and after you spent, 6 picks on offensive line over the last 6 years in the top 3 rounds.
You traded up to me, Meikenberg.
Okay, and Austin Jackson was a first-round pick. You
could have had Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson.
Correct. So you keep going down the list of all of the position groups in Miami. There's not any draft picks there. The best players aren't draft picks. All right. It's a flawed way of building a team.
Go watch the Lions tonight, Greg. If you have, you're going to watch the Lions today. Do you know how much time Jared Goff has in the pocket? Do you see that offensive line, Penny? So, have you ever? The guy can literally read a book. He has all the time in the world. They're so freaking physical. Why do you think? Yeah. By the way, I was hard on Vic Fangio. Look at the when you build up your lines, these teams that are winning, it doesn't matter. You look at Kansas City, you look at the Chargers, you look at the Lions, you look at the Packers, you look at the Chiefs, you look at all these teams. They're winning because of their lines, all the time. You can't trust a nerd, of course.
I would disagree with you there a little bit, but
you don't have to agree with me on everything. But Mike McDaniel's stupid. Okay, let's just put you away. He's stupid. The next person who's really stupid, and I've been saying this all season. Finally, he admitted it this week. Is Tua Tagovailoa? He admitted that they're 5-7 because he got injured.
I was shocked when he said that.
I got ripped. Oh, it's not his fault. He did. Of course, it's his fault that they're 5-7 because he knew that he's in that quarterback room. He knows that Skylar Thompson stinks. He knows that Mike White stinks. He knows that this offense is only built around him. And if he gets injured, this team is going to suck. And then he chose to go on IR. He agreed to it. He could have fought it if he really wanted to. They put him on IR. He misses an extra game in Indianapolis they probably would have won if he played. And to try to tell you this, he's 4-4 this season. He's not playing well. He stinks. So Tua Tagovailoa, when he played in Green Bay, overthrowing ball, he's been even just as dumb as the other two. He's part of the King Trio, Curly, Larry, and Moe. Why is Tua to you so stupid?
Yeah. So limited players try to do too much. Okay, I mean, and you know, you want him to be aggressive. You want him to be, you know, he's the main person on the team. He's the biggest reason why they win or lose. It's the quarterback. It's the quarterback on every team. Okay, it's the biggest reason why you win or lose. All right, but when you're limited and you have limitations put on you, you're constantly trying to prove yourself. You're constantly trying to justify everything that's coming your way. All the money, all the notoriety, everything else, right? And when you get comfortable enough that you are good enough to do something like that, you quit playing that way. Okay? How many hits did Peyton Manning take at the end of his career? Hardly any.
No.
Because he knew if he screwed it up, he'd just lay down.
Yeah.
You know? Drew Brees was the same way. It just...
Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with doing nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he didn't get dunked. He knew what to do. He was not the Peyton Manning of old. He knew how to adjust.
He was not the Peyton Manning of old, but he was still, Peyton Manning, and defenses still feared him, right? Yeah. In part of what I like Tua playing with a chip on his shoulder, okay, but that can't override your good senses. Yeah. You can't put your head down. You can't, try to do that. What caused him to get injured. You can't do that. You're too important to the team. All right.
Well, I don't think the team trusts him.
Well, I wouldn't trust him either. Okay. And part of what McDaniel's trying to do is basically coddle him. And basically not put him into a position to make a ton of mistakes. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it limits what the offense is capable of doing, and it makes it that much harder to win, because if you're that limited, the more mistakes you make, the less likely you are to win. And Miami makes too many mistakes to win the game the way Mike McDaniel now kind of sees how they have to win, which is playing smart ball control football. Limiting possessions, keeping the ball away from the other team. It doesn't work if you keep making mistakes and your quarterback is basically limiting what you can do on offense. So it's a thing.
Yeah, I don't think you saw this quote, but mediocre costs you draft position and playoff spots, which is Dave Stager said that, which is 100% the case. And yes. John Embry's not the first one to say this. The team plays soft. Jordan Brooks said it. It's nice that you say it. What are you going to do to fix it? Nothing, because you guys don't have the ability to know how to fix it, because you guys have known about this all season. Jalen Ramsey was saying during training camp that the team needs to play more physical. They don't listen. They don't take their own advice. It's absolutely asinine. Tua's stupid. They're stupid. He's just stupid.
Well, but part of that is again, you go into war. You go onto the field with the team that you have.
Yeah.
Right. This team was not built to be physical.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to, think about it, in basketball terms. Okay. You're a 3-point shooting team going up against a team that's dominating in the low post. You're not going to take your guard and say, okay, we're not shooting threes today. We're going to post up. Okay. Against a team that's bigger and more physical than you. You got to win the game shooting threes.
Yep.
All right. And part of my big issue with McDaniel early this year, what he was a 3-point shooting team trying to post up, trying to play physical.
Yeah.
And they had the worst offense in the league.
They still
All
will
right.
have one of the worst.
And, and, and,
2020s.
right. And they're still one of the worst offenses in the league. But that's just simply denying the type of team that you are, the type of players that you have. You can't game plan or scheme your way, with the team you wish you had. You're not physical. Don't try to be physical. Okay? You want spread people out, beat them with speed, get the ball to your best playmakers. And when he started doing that, the offense started looking better. And part of that is not focusing the offense through Achad. I'm sorry. He's your fourth option on this offense. He really is. Hill's your number one. Waddle and Johnny Smith are 2 and 3 in any order that you want to give them. Then it's the running back. And I've said it for a while now that the defense, every time Achane touches the ball, the defense considers it a win because that means it's out of Tua's hands and Tua can't get the ball to Smith, Hill, and Waddle. Those are the three players that defenses want to take away. So I don't know if anybody's hearing me right now, but I'm in a pretty good space. So I wonder if it's technical difficulties on Evan's side of things. But going forward, this team, the Jets are just as stupid as Miami. So I see Miami beating the Jets on Sunday. Okay, good teams, talented teams, to beat lesser talented teams making the same number of mistakes. That's just the way it works. Okay, going to Houston, that's going to be tough, but they should beat San Francisco. Going to Cleveland, it's going to be cold. They should beat them as well. Game works. All right. If Miami cleans up the stupid at the end of the year, they can go 5-0, 4-1. But there's no evidence that they're going to do that. And that's the big issue. That's the problem going forward, is that there's nothing in the history of the Dolphins the last 5-6 years or the last 3 years with McDaniel to suggest that they get better in December. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work that way. Miami doesn't play their best ball later in the year. Evan's trying to get back in here, but even if they go,
You there? I don't know. My internet kicked out on me. I apologize, everybody. My internet kicked out on me, so I apologize.
No
apologize
problem.
for that. So what were you saying? Go ahead.
I was just following up and saying that, at the end of this year, Miami can play smarter football. Miami can win 3, 4, 5 games. All right. All these games are winnable, but they got to play smarter, and there's no evidence that they will. All right. The last 2 years, there's no evidence that Mike McDaniel's teams play better in December than they have the rest of the year. And they need to play better. They can't commit 10 penalties anymore. They can't have bad special teams play. They got to get the ball to their playmakers. They're the 3-point run and gun team. You got to play that way, even when the weather turns bad, because you're not going to out physical anybody. Your team, you're just not built that way.
No, absolutely not. So I know you have to go a bit. You have to keep the catch, and my internet's a little clunky on. I'm going to go going with that. Since we talked, just a couple of minutes, we'll talk about Stephen Ross. We know why he's stupid. Made decision.
Nope, he's gone again. So he's going to pick on Stephen Ross here. Stephen Ross is loyal to a fault, and that's a problem. All right, he's slow to make big decisions, and he likes keeping people. So the GM, the head coach.
I'm back. I'm back.
They both just signed extensions. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I'm back. Now my internet's back. I don't know what they're going. I have snow in Canada. The internet. Now Bobby's going to hold this over my head when he watches. Basically, say, "You see, you don't have such great internet in Canada."
But no, Stephen Ross's problem is he's loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
All right, and he's slow to make big changes.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the big deal here. Is he can't. There's no way, even if they go 5-0 at the end of this year, okay, there's no way that he can look at this and consider this year 6 of the rebuild, year 3 of McDaniel, fighting for the 7th spot in the playoffs. He can't consider that a success.
No.
So something's got to change in the offseason. The question is will he pull the trigger to make those changes?
Yeah.
And there's no evidence that he will.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So we're heading into this week, the 5-7 Miami Dolphins against the very feisty, very unexpected, but very happy to see that they suck stinking Jets. With Aaron Rodgers, who continues to play. They're bad, but they're worse. But I kind of envy them a little bit because we know they're going to tear it down at the end of the year or really we might be sticking with the same old. So that's one thing that concerns me is New England's going to continue to get better. Buffalo's not going anywhere. The Jets are going to restart again. So they'll be able to draft a quarterback, or they'll be able to go and they'll be able to rebuild their team with the same stars they have on their team now. They have foundational pieces. We might be the same old middle of the line, average, pathetic football team. So going into this game, is this an easy win for you, or is this a game where the Dolphins can easily lose this football game?
I don't think this Dolphins team has any easy wins left. All right, I really don't. And do I think they should win this game? Yes. Do I think they will win this game? Yes. Do I think they'll blow out the Jets? I'm not going to go there.
No.
All right. And part of the reason is I can't always predict how stupid they're going to be. Okay. What special team's going to be this week? Is special teams going to be solid, or are they going to be bad? It's a toss-up, all right, week in, week out, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, are the Jets going to play stupid, all right, and try to cover Hill and Waddle and Jonnu Smith in man? Or are they going to play zone? It's not their strength, but it's the best way to contain Miami.
Yeah.
All right. I want to see what the pass rush is going to do against Aaron Rodgers. Okay, the New York Jets offensive line is not good. Okay, we should be able to get a pass rush with just the front four. All right, I'm hoping Sealer and Campbell have a big game. You know,
Sealer plays half the snaps. There's no one to cover for him. He plays half the goddamn snaps.
Who's that?
The defense is complete garbage when Campbell's not on the field. You ever notice that?
Yes. No. And they're gonna play the 1,200 pounds of guys, you know, to contain the run, and you know, and Aaron Rodgers, if he's smart, is going to be checking into play action passes there, and then that's going to put, you know, some emphasis and some, you know, on our cornerback situation. And our cornerback situation is not very good right now.
No, it's not. Fuller might be packed, but who cares?
Even with him, he's not that good. Okay, and you know, the Jets have some playmakers on offense.
Yeah.
You know, Adams, Wilson, you know, Hall, they can make some plays. Mm-hmm. And do you have any confidence that Miami's linebackers are going to be able to contain Hall in the passing game?
No way.
No. So, again, Miami should win this game. I think Miami will win this game. But
who cares?
There are things that can happen in this game to just as easily be a loss. And at this point,
you're right, Ortiz.
Doesn't matter.
You're right, Troy. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we've been soft for 40
Yeah,
years. Back to Marino. It's not rocket science. It really isn't.
yeah,
Like I remember someone said a stat to me today. It was the one, and it was Doll, part of our network, and she posted about the fact that I love her that Devon Achane is rated the number one receiving running back in the NFL, and I go, so what? He's a running back. I don't care that he's the best receiving running back. How is he as an actual running back? He ain't that good. That's why we're averaging under 4 yards a carry. That's why he's averaging under 3 yards a carry right now. It doesn't work. He's a great pass catcher. Let him be a third wide receiver for all I care. That's fantastic. But our running game is crap now with him leading the good charge. When Mostert was leading the charge, we were a top running game. Now that we're relying on Achane, we're a bottom feeder running game. It's simple as that. It's simple as
yeah.
that.
I mean,
Winning the game this week doesn't change much. Well, I just think it gives everyone false hope. Like I kind of want them to lose only till we can get on with this. Like, just can we get on with this rebuild? Can we get on with changing things up? Because what is this? This is nonsense. I don't want they've taken away all the joy. I should get excited about them winning against the Stickton Jets. Why? Why?
yeah, it's a. Does
I got a
winning
lump of coal. I'm Jewish, and we're getting lumps of coal every year.
Does winning the game this week, does winning the rest of the games this year change any of the facts on this team?
None.
And they don't, to me.
Because they're not facing another team that's an above 500 team except Houston, which is a dome game. So that's an equal playing field. I don't even count that. Cleveland's the toughest game they probably have left because it's on the road and it could be snowing. Everywhere else, the conditions are in their favor. Everywhere they go. The Jets won't even be that cold in January. It's never cold in New York in January. It's in the 60s.
But the point is this team's not going anywhere as it's constituted.
No.
And 5 wins at the end of the season don't change that.
No.
All right. Now, do I want the Dolphins to win? Yes, because I'm a Dolphins
course.
fan. Winning's better than losing.
For sure.
Okay. But big picture, all right, it really doesn't change a whole lot. And if anything, it hurts us going into next year because we're going to have a worse draft position.
Yeah.
And I'm tired. Okay, I'm just tired of sneaking into the 7th playoff position.
It didn't exist 3 years ago, Greg. It didn't exist. It didn't exist. It's a made up position.
but I'm tired of sneaking into it, and then people considering that a successful season.
It's your participation trophy.
It is a participation trophy.
You snuck in. Congratulations. Fantastic. When's the last time a seventh seed has won anything? Nothing. No, they go nowhere. Not
in the NFL.
And by the way,
and the fact that the Buffalo Bills wrapped up the division Thanksgiving weekend, it just shows you how bad this division is.
Not even that.
Oh my God.
You want a picture? I was sitting there going to myself, I was watching the 49ers play. Yes, they're missing Nick Bosa. So we're missing Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. They're missing Trent Williams. We hardly have our linemen there to begin with. They have an unproven in this contract year quarterback who can't seem to do much without Brandon Ayuk and without Christian McCaffrey. Remind you of somebody, his name is Tua Tagovailoa. So are you going to give Brock Purdy the bag? The 49ers, an old football team now. The Miami Dolphins, an old football team. We tried to copy the San Francisco 49ers. What they were doing was in style about 3 years ago. And Miami Dolphins are now trying what the San Francisco 49ers tried 3 years ago. And now it's out of style. We're 3 years too late to the party for our style of play. And this ain't working. If you watch the 49ers, we're the 49ers.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why by the way, do you know what the 49ers record is?
It's 5-7, isn't it?
What's the Dolphins record this year?
5-7. Yeah.
Here we go. They're mirror images of each other. They're exactly the same. Injury-prone players, beat-up offensive line, injured players on defense, injured wide receivers. They can't do nothing. And they're relying on the tight end, Kittle and Jonnu Smith, to do everything they possibly can. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely we're a mirror image. They've won earlier than us. But you know what the end result is? have you happened to notice that every time Kyle Shanahan goes to a Super Bowl, twice with San Francisco, once with Atlanta, choke job, he has been the leader of the offense. And what has the 49ers and the Falcons did? They've crapped the bed. He has screwed his team over three times in Super Bowls. Have you noticed that? That's
Well,
who Mike McDaniel's mentor is Kyle Shanahan. That's who he's been under his entire career while Mike Shanahan was there. He's always been under Kyle. And I go, Kyle has won nothing, no matter what, how many times he's gone to the Super Bowl. How many has he won? None. It doesn't matter. He has not won one, so it doesn't matter. So in the end, the Miami Dolphins are stupid. And if they're smart, they will clean house no matter what happens this season. Because if they fired Brian Flores at 10-7 or 9-8, they can fire Mike McDaniel at 10-7 or 9-8 and fire Chris Greer. And I think Stephen Ross should realize in his 80s, you find the best president of football operations, you become an owner who cheers for his team, and let your president of football operations make the football decisions. The same way you have Tom Garfunkel on the business side, you do the same thing there. Simple as that. Agree or disagree?
I don't disagree with all. It needs a new. It needs a new direction in basically
New
what we've
mentality.
seen. Yeah, this team has not lived up to it for 3 years, and you can say the 6-year rebuild, they've won nothing, they've gone nowhere, and now they have one of the oldest teams in the league, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. You build the team wrong, you don't succeed, and then you can't come back and replay it. You gotta start at the foundation of the team, and you gotta build the team with correct philosophy.
Yeah.
And this team is not built with the correct philosophy, and it hasn't been for a while. And simply backing into the playoffs and making a 6th or 7th seed, doesn't prove that you're doing it right. And every team in the league can look back and say, well, if we would have won that game and this game, the season would have been different. That's an excuse losers made.
Yeah.
All right. That's an excuse that you can't justify, or every other team could justify saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been the worst team in the league if we would have won this game back there, but you didn't. Okay. And
There's always
and
next
most
year's DSG in this team.
yeah, and
Always next year.
And one of the reasons why teams lose close games is because they are stupid and they make mistakes. And with that, Evan, I got to go line up and get on my plane.
Guys, thank you so much, everyone. Greg, if you have to go, I'll finish off the show if you have to go. I appreciate you watching. We'll be back here next Thursday, guys.
Yes.
We really appreciate you for watching. All I can say is I'm a stupid Canadian because even though I love Florida and went there as a kid, I live right next to Buffalo. I could have been 6 or 7. No one would have known any better. And I could have saw 4 Super Bowls, 4 losses, but I got to see 4 Super Bowls and some winning franchises. Unfortunately, I'm still a Dolphins fan, and I've yet to see any joy except the Miami Miracle and some decent players. In the end, guys, enjoy Sunday. Greg, safe flight home. We'll be catching you. You'll catch us on the pregame show on Sunday. Postgame, maybe Greg can join. You'll catch me tomorrow night on the premiere show of the Florida Panthers show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, everybody, fins up.
Fins up, guys. Thank you.